Hello students, as you know, the NATA 2025 entrance exam is approaching us very soon. Simply studying without any strategy is not going to help you crack the NATA exam. Hi, my name is Julie James. I am from AFD India and I am here today to give you my strategy to crack the NATA 2020 exam by preparing for just 1 month. First and foremost, you need to understand the NATA 2025 exam pattern clearly. I have attached the link to our video explaining the NATA 2025 syllabus in detail in the description below. Watch it religiously and completely understand it before continuing with this video. Now that you understand the syllabus, let's approach the strategy. We have got 1 month and that's plenty of time if we approach it with focus and strategy. Let's break down this 1 month week by week, and I'll also give you examples and practical tips along the way. Let's start with week 1. Week 1 is where you build your foundation. This week is all about getting your basics right. Without a strong foundation, it is tough to build anything, right? Let's tackle both part A and part B systematically. For part A, first let's work on composition and color. Let's start with simple compositions. You will be given geometric shapes like triangles, circles, or random organic shapes. Study the rules of good composition like emphasis, rhythm, balance, and unity. Practice making different compositions using these principles to create aesthetically pleasing compositions. Learn about the color wheel. Understand the color harmonies like complementary colors, analogous colors. Learn how color psychology works so that you know what colors to use for different moods and different places. Like for example, the colors to use for peace or for youthfulness or anger will not be the same, right? Next, practice on sketching. Begin sketching with single objects like a chair, a table, a lampshade. Then you progress to environments or compositions. Like for example, you can sketch the corner of your room and all the objects which are there in that corner. You can sketch a heap of tires stacked one on top of the other randomly near a mechanic shop. When you are sketching compositions like this, you also need to have an understanding of perspective and eye level. So you must learn about the various different perspectives in which we can draw to show three-dimensional depth to your composition. Like for example, you can use 1 point, 2 point or 3 point perspective. Focus on proportions. Make sure the sizes of different objects are in relative proportion to each other. And then work on details like texture, shading, light and shadow. Observe how light falls on different objects and the shadows which they cast. Observe the texture of different kinds of objects like a pineapple or an apple will have totally different texture. So try drawing different kinds of textures and also add light and shadow while you are practicing. Next, let's look at composition again, but this time you are making compositions with these 3D objects which you have learned. Again, remember the same principles of composition which you had learned for 2-dimensional shapes apply to 3-dimensional composition as well. So look at emphasis, look at rhythm, look at unity, look at balance, look at proportions. To practice this, maybe a best way to do is to find Lego toys or simple basic shapes from around your house and arrange them in aesthetically pleasing compositions and then draw them from different angles. You can also try using these same objects to create theme-based compositions. Like for example, you could try making or arranging these objects to look like a festival stall. You can use cuboids for tables and cylinders for lanterns and arrange them in an interesting way so that they also communicate a festive vibe. For part B, you work on your math, general awareness, as well as logical and reasoning skills. You can practice visual reasoning by solving puzzles like tangrams or by reconstructing shapes from given parts. For architecture GK or architectural aptitude, research famous works such as the Lotus Temple or the Falling Water. Understand why these buildings are iconic and who constructed them, who was the architect of these buildings, and what were the philosophies which they were following when they were designing these iconic buildings. To prepare for math, you must revisit your 10th and 11th and 12th grade mathematics syllabus. Revisit geometry basics, figure out how to calculate areas, volumes and angles. Now we are at week 2. Week 2 is the time to enhance your skills. Now that you have warmed up and learned the basics, now we have to push the limits. This week is about refining your skill and improving your creativity. So again, let's start with composition and color. But this time you try more complex themes like urban chaos or nature versus technology. For example, create a scene where skyscrapers blend in with a forest. Use colors to highlight the contrast. Like say for example, you can put gray for the buildings and green for the trees. And don't just limit yourself to just one shade of green. You can have multiple shades of green, shades and tints of green or gray in your composition. While practicing drawing, move on from single objects to multi-element sketches. For example, draw a cafe scene with tables, chairs, people and hanging lights, street side vehicles, etc. Focus on proportion. Make sure that the people don't look like giants next to the furniture. So what's crucial here is to also start practicing with a timer. Set a timer for 10 minutes and draw the rough thumbnail sketch of the scene. And then you can take another 10 minutes to develop the sketch further and refine it. For 3D composition, you can practice 3D layouts of spaces such as a reading nook or a garden pavilion. Imagine how sunlight would fall on the objects there and cast shadows. Sketch the shadows accordingly and give texture wherever it is required. Also practice some design thinking. Imagine you are designing a new chair for kids. Think about how it should look, what materials you need to use, and how you can make the chair fun as well as functional. To further refine your numeric abilities, practice with real-world problems like calculating the cost of tiling a floor or estimating the height of a building using the shadows. This week is also the week where you're going to be taking your first mock test. So take a full-length test this week, just like how you would be doing a real mock test, and do it within the time frame of 3 hours. Once you are done with the mock test, you must mark yourself with the answers and analyze where you lost marks. And make sure to focus on those areas in your remaining preparation. Week 3 is for mastering time management. This is where the magic happens. You have learned the concepts and now it is time to get faster and more accurate. To practice for part A, you need to combine all the skills you have learned so far. For example, take a theme like an eco-friendly workspace. Sketch a layout with plants, desks and lighting. And also use color to show the mood and feel that you want that eco-friendly workspace to communicate. Practice creating 3D models or compositions for various given prompts. For part B, you can solve a mix of MCQ questions covering all kinds of topics. Like for example, questions like which architectural style is associated with the use of a flying buttress, or which color is complementary to the color yellow. Brush up on English grammar and comprehension by reading short passages and summarizing them. Learn and brush up your vocabulary. Learn new words every day. So week 3 is the time when you take further mock tests. This time you're going to do 2 of them. You do the mock test, full-length mock test in the time limit, and now what you need to do is, if you have got incorrect answers or missed some questions in the MCQ section, you must immediately go back and visit those sections and brush up your concepts again. For the drawing part, make sure that your compositions are good and visually appealing and you have answered the question to the point. And finally, it is week 4. The week before the exam. it's the time for final polishing. This week is all about fine-tuning and confidence building. Review your strong areas and your weak areas. Say for example, you are not so good even now with 3D compositions. Make sure that you allot some extra time to practice that. Take one mock test every alternate day under timed conditions. You know you have 180 minutes for the entire paper in which you have to complete part A as well as part B. Now, at the end of this 4th week, I am sure that you have the necessary skills and the speed to attempt the NATA exam with confidence. Here are my final tips for the big day. Start with your strongest question to build your confidence. For part A, focus on neatness and creativity. Don't rush through your sketches. For part B, read the questions carefully. Logical reasoning questions often have hidden details. Reading the question incorrectly will, of course, lead you to losing crucial marks. Remember, this exam is as much about creativity as it is about logic and reasoning. Practice consistently, stay curious, and learn as much as you can about architecture and the world around you. So, don't hesitate to ask any questions in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share if you like this video.